Imagine the sun dropping below the horizon, and you have nothing. No flashlight, no streetlight, no glowing phone screen to check. Just darkness, spreading outward, swallowing every shape you knew by daylight. Today, you flip a switch, and that fear disappears in an instant. For most of human history, that switch simply didn't exist yet. And the darkness wasn't just uncomfortable, it was genuinely dangerous. Human eyes are built mostly for daylight, not for night. Our eyes hold far fewer rod cells than most nocturnal predators do. Many predators also have a reflective layer behind the retina, sharpening night vision. Humans never evolved that layer. Our night vision stayed remarkably poor. A lion, a leopard, a hyena could all see far better than us. In total darkness, an early human was functionally blind. Meanwhile, the animals hunting them could see every single move they made. Human hearing became critically important because vision failed at night. Every rustle, every snapped twig carried enormous meaning in the dark. Groups likely relied on quiet, shared signals to track danger together. This wasn't an abstract fear. It was written directly into the fossil record. In the 1970s, paleoanthropologist C.K. Brain examined a skull from South Africa. The site was called Swartkrans, a fossil-rich cave outside Johannesburg. The skull, catalogued as SK54, had two strange punctures near its crown. Brain matched those punctures precisely to the lower canines of a leopard. The spacing was exact, identical to a leopard fossil found in the same layer. This wasn't an animal scavenging a body that already lay there dead. Leopards aren't scavengers by nature. They are dedicated, active hunters. Brain concluded this early hominin had been killed and eaten deliberately. He published his findings in a book with a telling title. He called it The Hunters or the Hunted, and the answer surprised people. For decades, scientists assumed early humans dominated their prehistoric landscape completely. This fossil, and others found nearby, told a very different story entirely. Early humans weren't always the apex predator. Sometimes they were simply prey. Giant hyenas and saber-toothed cats hunted the very same landscape. And predation like this overwhelmingly happened during the night, in the dark. Leopards specifically are known for dragging prey up into trees to feed, which means the danger didn't even end when someone reached shelter. A cave that felt safe by day could still hold a predator by night. So what could a group of early humans possibly do about this? The answer, more than almost anything else, was fire. Evidence of controlled fire use goes back roughly 1 million years. At Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, archaeologists found ash and burned bone, layered deep inside the cave, far from any natural, accidental source. Fire did more than provide warmth against the cold night air. It created a boundary, a wall of light predators were reluctant to cross. Most nocturnal hunters instinctively avoid open flame and its sudden movement. For early humans, fire wasn't just comfort. It was a survival technology. But keeping a fire burning all night required constant attention. Someone had to stay awake, feed the flames, and watch the dark edges. Modern hunter-gatherer groups still show traces of this same practice today. Researchers studying the Hadza and San peoples note heightened vigilance after sunset. Camps are arranged with fires at the center, watched in careful rotation. This likely shapes something deeply human, how our ancestors actually slept. Historian Roger E. Kirch spent years studying pre-industrial sleeping patterns worldwide. He found repeated references to something called first sleep and second sleep. People would sleep for several hours, wake naturally near midnight, then sleep again. That waking period wasn't accidental insomnia. It served a real purpose. It gave someone a natural window to check the fire and the surroundings. In a world with real nocturnal predators, staying half alert made sense. Fully unconscious sleep, all night, every night, was a real vulnerability. So the human body may have adapted its own rhythm around that risk. Even moonlight mattered a lot to how safe a night actually felt. Under a full moon, visibility improved, and recorded predator attacks dropped. Under a new moon, with almost no light at all, danger climbed. Many traditional hunting and travel schedules were built directly around this cycle. Underneath all of this sits something even older: the biology of fear itself. Fear of darkness isn't something children simply learn by being told stories. It shows up remarkably early and remarkably consistently across every human culture. Deep inside the brain, a small structure called the amygdala drives this response. It processes threat signals faster than conscious thought ever could manage. In low light, with less visual information available, the amygdala works overtime. Every shadow becomes a possible threat. Every silence becomes suspicious, unresolved. This isn't irrational. For most of human history, it was simply accurate. The humans who felt uneasy in the dark were more likely to survive it. The ones who felt nothing, who wandered out casually, often simply didn't. Over hundreds of thousands of years, that fear became permanently wired in. And it didn't just shape behavior, it shaped what people believed too. Many anthropologists believe monster stories served a very practical function. Frightening tales kept children close to the fire, away from the tree line. A myth about a monster in the dark was a safety rule. Fear, wrapped inside a story, was simply easier for a child to remember. Across unrelated cultures, similar nighttime experiences appear repeatedly. Researchers studying sleep paralysis have documented something called the old hag phenomenon. It's the sensation of waking paralyzed, with a crushing weight on the chest. People worldwide have independently described a sense of a presence nearby. In parts of Europe, this figure was blamed on witches or night hags. The English word nightmare actually comes from this exact folklore tradition. A mare was an old Germanic term for a spirit sitting on sleepers' chests. In Japan, similar experiences were historically attributed to a phenomenon called kanashibari. In parts of West Africa, some communities described a heavy presence at night. In Newfoundland, English settlers used the phrase old hag for the exact same experience. Aboriginal Australian traditions also describe spirit figures tied specifically to the night. These cultures had no contact, no shared language, no shared mythology at all, and yet they arrived independently at strikingly similar nighttime terrors. Anthropologist David Hufford spent years documenting this pattern across dozens of cultures. His research suggests the experience itself is biological, universally human, not cultural. The stories built around it were simply each culture's attempt to explain it. In other words, the fear came first. The folklore came afterward, everywhere. So when we ask what ancient humans feared most about the dark, it's specific. It wasn't imagination. It wasn't superstition invented for entertainment around a fire. It was leopards waiting silently above cave entrances after nightfall. It was predators whose eyes worked far better than human eyes ever could. It was the real chance that morning might never actually come. And every solution our ancestors built came directly from that one fear. They built fire, not for comfort, but as an active, nightly defense. They shaped their own sleep into fragments, staying alert through the darkest hours. They tracked the moon's cycle, planning movement around its changing light. They told stories that turned real danger into a lesson children remembered. They passed down warnings, generation after generation, about what waited outside firelight. And long after the leopard stopped being the immediate danger, the fear remained. It's still sitting quietly in our biology today, mostly dormant, rarely tested, which is why an empty house at night can still feel unsettling somehow. Why a hallway light left on can feel like real practical relief. Why children, with no leopards anywhere nearby, still ask for one more nightlight. That feeling isn't weakness. And it isn't irrational. Even now, it's a message, inherited across nearly 2 million years, still fully intact. Every generation retold this fear in its own local language and imagery, but the underlying signal beneath every version stayed remarkably, strikingly the same. Stay near the light, stay close to others, wait for the sun. That instruction kept a fragile species alive against enormous odds. It kept small groups together, watching the same fire through the same nights. It built the first real cooperation our species ever depended on. So the next time darkness feels heavier than it should, logically, remember, that feeling isn't malfunction. It's memory, older than language itself. It's the same alertness that once kept a small group alive until dawn, a message written into the body long before it was ever written into any story, passed silently from one generation to the next for nearly 2 million years. Long before fire, before shelter, before language, that fear was already there, and it never really left. It just found quieter, safer places to live, waiting still in the part of us that flinches at every unexpected sound. A small, ancient signal, still doing exactly the job it always did,